Hi, welcome back to my garage. So today we're going to talk about fuel tank pressure depressurizing type problems. Quite common on these cars. Haven't seen too many posts on how to particularly fix it on the later cars. It's quite a lot of advice for the earlier cars, and it'll be a very similar situation, but anyone who's got a later car like mine, this is particularly for you because you'll be able to see where the fuel breather is and all the routing and stuff. I think it's slightly different on the earlier cars, but the principle will be the same. I was going to fix the problem and then do a video making it look like I knew what I was talking about. But then I realised if I fix the problem and then put everything back together, frankly, we all know I'm not going to be bothered to take it all apart again. I'll just be happy that I fixed it. So I have stopped quite early in proceedings, and here I am videoing. So hopefully I'll find out what the problem is. Otherwise, this will just never get posted on YouTube. So I'll show you what I've done so far. Well, actually, I'll show you what the problem is to start off with. I'll also hit my elbow off the bonnet. That was quite painful. So yeah, quite a common problem. You'll go out for a lovely day driving. Then you'll stop to get fuel and you'll open your fuel filler cap, and as you do so, it'll go whoosh and feel like it's sucking your hand into the fuel tank. That is because when you use fuel, obviously that creates a void, and how it's supposed to work is any fuel tank should have a breather system on to fill that void with air. And keep the tank at the correct pressure. If your breather or whatever isn't working, then obviously as that fuel is sucked out, it creates a vacuum in the tank. And if this is a very good seal, which on mine it is, worst case scenario, if you keep using fuel, your tank's going to implode. It's going to crumple and damage stuff. So that would be bad because these fuel tanks are not cheap. The other problem is you take the cap off and you get a whoosh of air out. Similar problem to do with the breather. The cause of that would usually be the fuel heating up in hot weather. We don't really know about that in the UK, but in the USA, hot weather, car sat in the sunshine, that heat finally gets through to the actual fuel and warms it up, and it expands and it's got nowhere to go. And again, left unchecked with a really good fuel filler cap, your tank's going to expand and potentially break the welds or whatever. So it's not something you should ignore. Seem to have forgotten how to say that word. I may have inhaled quite a few petrol fumes. I might be a little bit high. We're going to go in the boot properly in a bit, but just for now, I'll just show you. Just zoom in. That big line, just ignore that. This smaller, stop unfocusing. This smaller line here with the two disconnected connectors connects onto that little bit of fuel line there. That is on the later 6-litre V12 anyway, the breather. I think it's slightly different on the earlier cars. I don't know is the honest answer. So, but it'll be the same principle. There'll be a breather coming off somewhere. I have tested this and I took that. Obviously I was getting the whooshing sound on the fuel filler cap. I then ran the car again a bit to build up that void in the tank again, and as soon as I disconnected that there again, I got the whoosh through there. So that means I do have a blockage somewhere from here to where the breather exits the car, which is at the front of the car, which we'll get to in a minute. So that was my first test, was am I even releasing vacuum or pressure through the breather system on the actual fuel tank, which the answer to that on my car is yes. So I guess if you were to take that off and you were getting repeated whooshing on the fuel tank, but then when you just took that off, nothing happened, and then you were still getting whooshing on the fuel tank, then I guess there's something blocked up in there. That's not the case with mine. So now I need to check this bit of black piping, which literally goes down only to there. Just zoom in. That's the end of it there. So that's going to be my next job, is to take that off and check that that's clear, which I'm pretty sure it will be. There's then a little connector that goes through. See it just changing colour down there into a sort of beige bit of pipe. That's underneath the car. Right, I just spent quite a lot of time trying to find that with my camera with the wheel on. we're going to take the wheel off anyway, so I'll get to that later. But basically it comes down here to around this area, where then it is that first shiny, well, mine are shiny because I took them off a while ago and painted them because they were looking a bit sorry for themselves. I think it's that first one anyway, I can never remember, but we'll find out. And it runs all the way down to the front here, where it disappears into this covered area here where the fuel filter is on the later cars. It then comes out of here on this rather pathetic micro-bore plumbing, connects up to a bit of flexible tubing into the Rochester valve, which is also connected with a vacuum. The vacuum is fed from the left-hand inlet manifold. So again, that's something to check if you're having issues. Just pull that off and see if you're getting vacuum here, which I am, so that's not a problem with me. And also check that this line's not broken or anything and is connected in here. Obviously, to get in here, you'll have to take the wheel off and all of this crap. But that's not too difficult. Yeah, so basically, while the car's not being driven, there's no vacuum on here, and this valve then only opens if it's fed a pressure of more than, I think it's 2 psi. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's something like that. So if the tank is having issues and wants to expand more than 2 psi, this will open and it'll let the fumes out into your charcoal canister, where they're stored awaiting you next driving the car. And that's where these come in. This is a feed and return to do with the air circulation on the car. I don't know exactly where they connect, don't ask me, but that creates an air circulation while the car's running through the charcoal canister, which sucks out those excess gases or fumes and burns them off in the engine nice and cleanly. It's all to do with emissions and the planet and everything. Yeah, so one of the problems can be that this is just blocked completely, and therefore it doesn't matter how much it builds up pressure in the tank. Could be more than 2 psi, could be up to 10, and it's just blocked in here. I guess you'd know that if you ran the engine and then you pulled this off, which is why I've got all this capped off, because I was just running that test as well. Instead of lifting the fuel cap and getting the whoosh, you take that off and I assume there'd be a oh thank god, let the pressure out there, and then I'd know that it was my valve that's knackered. However, I've done that a few times and I'm not getting anything out of here at all. So my problem is somewhere from there backwards. I've also tested this valve. It's fairly easy to do. I literally put a little bit of clear tubing on here, put that in my mouth, sucked it, kept the suction on, and then blew in and out of the valve just by mouth, which is enough for 2 psi, and it was doing what it should. Basically, when I put suction on it, it would open, and when I let the suction off, it wasn't. So I'm fairly sure that my valve's working absolutely fine, and I have something wrong in either here or the long line that runs all the way from front to back, or in the bit that runs up into the fuel tank. So that's about 3 sections. I'm going to go in the boot now, which is where I was when I decided, you know what, I am going to video this. And we're going to see if the bit that comes, so it's sort of part 1, if you like, the bit that comes from the fuel tank here, along here into the connection. So that's my first thing. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to blow down it and see if it's blocked. Right, I have disconnected that. Just needed to pull it out of these little clips to give myself the room to get to that connector, and this isn't blocked as I imagined. So we know this isn't blocked because we got the whoosh out of here, and if I blow down here, I'll just put the camera up that end, absolutely free. So this bit here is not my problem. While we're in the boot here, just to demonstrate, I've just connected up that flexible hose with the actual breather, and blowing in here, you can hear that quite easily lets air into the tank. And also, if I just film it here after I've blown, you'll hear the air coming back out. So we know the tank is getting air in and out. So absolutely no problem here, no problem with this bit, so I'll just put that to one side. However, if I blow down here, I can almost guarantee we're still going to be blocked. So then we get into, is it this little connection that goes down under the car, or is it the long pipe that I had off to paint? And I'm 99% sure while I had it off to paint, I blew down it and checked it was clear. So I'll be very surprised, but it's got to be something. All right, so next part to check was just this little connector, which connecting piece, which I was 99% sure would be clear, and it is. You can even see down it. It's the lovely taste of petrol. That's absolutely fine. That then connects onto here. Now we might be getting somewhere, because, sorry, it's not a great view there, but that doesn't look fantastic, does it? So yeah, I'm going to get the back wheel off, and we're going to find the other end of that and give that an inspect. That's looking quite suspicious. Hello, you joined me under the car. I haven't actually removed the wheel because I've just put it up on blocks, and I realised I can squeeze my fat head under here. So we're looking back towards the front of the car. The two lines on the right of these three are the fuel, send and return. So we're not bothered about those. This third one on the left is the vacuum. Now, like I said, I've had all this off and cleaned and painted and de-rusted it all. And I blew down that long line, which runs along here, bends around up into this kind of void. And then, so you can see the end of the fuel lines then go into flexible, and they go off, to the tank. Well, they go onto like quick fit connectors, which go onto the tank. I know that because I had them off as well. This vacuum line on the left, runs up here and then connects into a bit of flexible black tubing, which goes up. It's just ignore that brake line in the way. It's just blocking the view of that very small bit of metal tubing, which we were just looking at, which looks a bit corroded. So my next job is to get my hand up in there and disconnect there, and then get back in the boot, pull that, let me just squeeze that here. Ow! Fucking hit my head on the tyre. Yeah, I'll then get back in the boot up here. Where is it? Oh, it's somewhere down in there. Disconnect that line, and we'll see if that's where the blockage is. Right, disconnected that underneath. I've just come up here and realised it tucks in under this bit of firm insulation. So that's not very helpful, because I kind of want to lift that out. I'm going to have to get two hands in here and just see if I can wiggle that out. Right, good news and bad news. Good news is I've got the piece out. Bad news is it's a hell of a lot longer than I thought it was, and I see no way I'm going to get a replacement for this back in without removing the fuel tank, which I really don't want to do. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with that just yet, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. This is blocked completely. It must be completely corroded inside. Yeah, there we go. So if I turn the flash on, you can just see it's absolutely, whoop, focus, you bastard, absolutely full of some kind of gunky, orangey crap. Don't know what the other end's like. Is that the same? Yeah, it looks fairly dire up in there. So I'm going to make a new one of these out of some brake line. That's fairly simple. I can even probably put that flare on it somehow, but getting it back in there is not going to be simple. But yeah, cross that bridge when I come to it. At least we found the problem. Right, we're here. A&B Autos in Northwich. We'll go and see Andy. Everyone should have an Andy. He's the most helpful tool I know. Oh, he also sells fireworks, by the way, and does firework displays. That's for another video, maybe. Not really related to Jags. Hello, Chloe. Chloe. Hello, dog. Yes, hello. Oh, sorry, I've got dirty hands, haven't I? That's all right. You don't mind, do you? No, you don't. Look at that face. Do you want to chew? Do you want to chew? They're a bit pathetic, aren't they? I'll give you 2. Go on in. You're not that bothered today. I'll put them in your bed. There you go. Always on the phone. So let's inspect this cup of tea.
You bought a gay bottle of milk though before, didn't you?
You can't say gay on YouTube, Andy. You can't say gay on... I'll have to bleep that out.
I can.
Well, that's not... It's not gay, it's just small. I'm small.
That tastes gay.
That's fine. Stop saying gay.
When there's a job that's
Can I steal one of these?
Awful, yeah.
Yes.
When it's absolutely awful, we refer to it as a dog's bastard of a job.
A dog's bastard.
Dog's bastard of a job.
Right, okay.
You understand that in the trade.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's lovely, that, Andy. Right, pretty happy with that. We've got the right sort of bend here. What do you think of my pipe, Andy?
It's absolutely
Is that all right,
mate.
that? Is that all right? I've got this bend all right. That
Yeah,
bit
you don't
was...
need to worry about the flare there.
No, that'll be fine, won't it?
Where's the flare for this end?
I did it and it was a mess, so I sacked it off. Couldn't be bothered. I don't need it anyway. Oh, you want a fuss now, do you? You couldn't be bothered before, could you? You're having a bit of a nap. Raw.
You recorded?
I am.
And spell diagnosis.
Wow, you put...
Diagnose. D-I-A.
G. Diag. N-O-S-E?
No, diag.
No, I don't think it does have an ag in it. I think it's just D-I-A-G-N-O-S-E.
D-I-A-G.
N.
O-S-E.
I'm going to have to check that now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right, well, I'm back home and I've been in the boot for about half an hour. And I've only gone and done it. I didn't think it was going to go in, to be honest. I thought I was going to have to give up and do a flexible line. I have slightly mauled the foam at the side of the fuel tank. I thought that was just a little pad. I was hoping I could just cut a little bit away from the bottom, but you can't. Basically, that pad must run all the way down the side of the fuel tank there. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. I tried it about 10 times and it just wasn't working. So then I was looking at options of a flexible pipe coming back up the other way and just sacking off this whole metal pipe section. And then I got a bit angry and pushed a little bit harder, and it just sort of popped past whatever it was getting stuck on the foam in one place, and dropped through the hole. So if I go underneath the car now, you can just see the other end coming through. Now I did leave that a little bit long, and that's fine because that gives me plenty of grip on the hose, and I will put some clamps on there as well, just to make sure we don't get any vapor leaks under the car, and it sends it all to and from the canister. All I've got to do is get a grommet from there, connect everything up, and that then should work, and we shouldn't get any more whooshing. I'm going to get out from under here. This is quite a lot of talking under the car going on here. Right, so first bit we're going to connect back up is this little length that then goes up to the bit that runs into the actual tank. So I've just got that on. I'm just going to clamp that on. Okay, so that's clamped there at the bottom, and now I'm going to connect up. I've just fed this bit through this brace, and now I'm just going to connect that up and connect the end back up to the actual fuel tank. Right, so I've connected that back up with the 2 clips and popped this, excuse me, back into its little holders. That is nice and tight there, nice and tight there, and our nice new metal section is heading off to the hole at the bottom of the car. So now there's a bit of a fight under the car to connect it up there, and then we're done. Right, it's on. Like everything on this car, that was a massive fight. That original grommet didn't work, so I found something else. It's not perfect, but it has sealed the hole. I'll spray some underseal on there in a bit as well. I didn't bother with clamping it because it was such a tight fit onto that hose that frankly it's never going to come off, and it's not under any pressure particularly anyway. It's only a couple of psi of vapor going in and out, so that's all connected. Right there, managed to get some underseal on it, so that looks lovely. I missed a little bit there. Oh, that's fine, I can live with that. Had to paint it on because obviously I couldn't go spraying underseal everywhere there. Would have made a mess of everything that's nice and shiny, wouldn't it? Right, back down the other end of the car. First thing I want to do is just check. This is the line that comes from the tank over there all the way into this micro bore as we described earlier, up and over. So before, just shift forward, before we replace that pipe at the back end, if I was to blow down here, nothing would happen because obviously it was hitting that blockage. However, now I'm going to just blow down here and pressurize the tank slightly, and then when I let off, you'll also hear the expansion coming back out. So that means that now our vacuum line is doing what it should, which is allowing the fuel tank to breathe. So I'll just blow in here. I don't know if you can hear that. I'll do a bit more. There we go. So we're just expanding the tank there, and it's allowing it to come back out again. So we have no other blockages. So basically I've now got to connect that up. Obviously the vacuum line goes onto there, which as we've discussed before goes up into there, and I don't know if I can do it without standing up. Connects onto the front of the left-hand inlet manifold, and then we want to connect up. You can see that it's labelled clearly vacuum, so that goes onto the vacuum line, and the other end goes onto, where's my little bendy bit of, onto this little bend here, onto the bottom of the tank. So I'm going to plumb all that up and then show you. There we go, that's all plumbed up. So just to finally check, we've got our vacuum line coming in on the microbore, connecting up there, comes up and over into the vac labelled, zoom in there, side of the Rochester valve, and then it goes out onto a little U-bend, not a U-bend, a 90-degree bend into the charcoal canister. And also we've connected up our vacuum feed line. So that now is that job done. All I've got to do is put this front plate on. Okay, well that wraps up this video. Job done. It's actually a few days later filming this last piece I've edited up till now. I do apologise how rambly this video is, watching it back in the edit. I've tried to cut as much of the rambling out as possible. It's just a lot of my videos, well, all of them, frankly, are fairly rambly. This one especially because you joined me on the journey of exploration and understanding how the breather system works and what was wrong with mine. So normally I kind of know what I'm doing or have a bit of a practice run. This one, really, you were along generally while I figured it out. So if I've made any mistakes in naming things or explaining how things work, do feel free to comment underneath for other people who may watch it, and myself. I will read that comment and go, oh yeah, you're right, that doesn't quite do that, or I didn't really explain that properly. But hopefully generally I was correct, and certainly it's fixed the problem on this car. My car now, I took it out for a good run the other day, and as soon as I got back, opened the fuel thing, and there was no whoosh anymore, and there's no smell of fuel. So I'm 99.99% I have fixed the problem. It's always nice when you get a real sort of smoking gun part like that bit of pipe. You know, it's like, hey, that's blocked. It's obviously faulty, and you can fix it. So very satisfying. Car's up on stands ready for my next job, which is tackling a little bit of paint discoloration and chips and tiny bit of surface rust under the underseal of the sill. Nothing to worry about, but I'm going to strip those and paint those. So yeah, see you in the next video.